big up, big up, big up. Welcome back to Liverpool 12 Man Show. This is a show where we're going to talk about the league, and hopefully everyone is well out there. Shout out to Red Armchair supporters. Shout out to those that are joining us on the late night tip if it is the UK. I know it is late, but all the same, we're gonna do a little. I guess this is the Adult Swim version of our show, I guess, for tonight. Then, because we're gonna talk about a lot of different subjects, but we're gonna also talk about primarily the subjects that are involved with the league in general. We will have we will have the main topic segments be for Liverpool, but I wanted to talk about some of the things that have gone down in the league so far. It is fastly approaching April 13th. If not, it is the 12th. Good number. And April 12th today. And the Premier League title race has just been what I described as being flipped on its head. Arsenal stumble at the worst time to a team that some didn't necessarily have them stumbling to. It is something that I definitely enjoyed seeing. I know we all spoke on how it would be great to see them not only lose, but also it would be great to see the pressure be properly applied to Arsenal. You know what's funny too about it? It's just in the opening statement. Let me just say this right now, because I know some of the Arsenal fans will hit back, and I know even some of the City fans will possibly hit out at my statements. But it's a weird situation in the case where when it comes to Arsenal, it's not that not it's not an obsession with them at all per se. It's more so with the fan base that you deal with, the majority of the fan base. Because I do have some Arsenal fans that I do like, supporters that I do like, but um, it's more so about the Arsenal fan base. I think though, in a whole, and it's a weird one because as much as you have to look as a reflection, you have to see it as a case where a good number of us that aren't even in the title race, some people that aren't even remotely in the title race. I've seen Spurs fans take this opinion, and they should be focused on relegation, much less whether Arsenal win or not. But we all know that Arsenal's their arch rival. But what is wild about this title race is that Manchester City, no one really cares about Manchester City. And I know it sounds sad and weird, maybe different for some of the new fans that have jumped on their bandwagon. Um, but no one really cares about Manchester City because um, the, the before they had the investment, obviously from the Sheikh, um, there was no Manchester City being mentioned. And I recognized and realized this when I saw a piece. I saw Terry from the Football Terrace, um, and he was doing some piece. And now that now that his beloved Arsenal, at least that's what it seems like, he is a Manchester United fan, but his beloved Arsenal as well are starting to sputter. He's starting to take different little attempts and approaches towards his content and how he, is trying to poke the bear a little bit with some of his comments. And what was very unique about what hearing him say how he doesn't want to see City win, I can understand that because Manchester City and Manchester United, there's a rivalry between the two, and it's similar to Everton and Liverpool into the sense where we wouldn't want to see Everton win the Premier League, wouldn't, despite the fact that I understand it's the friendly rivalry. But it's a weird, weird, weird position to be in, and it's one of those cases where you find yourself hoping and rooting for Manchester City because again, no one cares about Manchester City. We all know that Manchester, at least my opinion, is man. I don't even call them City. I normally call them Manchester cheaters. And when it comes to Arsenal, a little different story. So it's a weird case. It's a weird position to be in, but all the same, this title race has started to finally get a little bit more interesting in an off year, I will say, for the Premier League, because it doesn't look like we're going to hit anywhere close to the standards of um, the Premier League has been hitting in its recent years, especially the years of the Klopp and Pep era. But all the same, a title's a title. Doesn't matter how you win it; it still is a trophy that you can put on your mantle. So um, Arsenal are stumbling at the worst time again, as I said. And I believe Manchester City smell blood in the water. I know they're supposed to be the Blue Sharks. They smell blood in the water. And for us, for Liverpool, despite everything, I understand that a lot of people are probably like, we have different settings for ourselves, and we do. But Liverpool, despite everything, are still standing, still fighting, and still in the mix for top five. Um, it is a 2-1 defeat for Arsenal against Bournemouth that has obviously opened the door wide open for that Manchester City Arsenal battle at the Etihad to be really, really a telling matchup. Um, City responded like champions do. They were clinical, ruthless today. What seemed like it was going to be a draw, at least I put it as being a draw in my group chat because I wanted to jinx them as best as possible. And then as soon as I wrote draw, the soccer gods, if you want to call it that, responded by obviously a goal by opening up the floodgates of goals. But suddenly the gap is only 6 points for us. We took care of our business. Um, I know there is a little Sunday romance brewing here. There is. Shout out to the streets. Big up, Rasta Crab in the house. Um, uh, we took care of our business. Let's just be honest. A lot of us weren't um, really, despite Fulham not being good at Anfield, we knew that we had to take care of business. We looked good in the first half. Um, Second half again is weird because normally in the first half we don't look good in games, but in the second half, um, this time around we looked good in the second half. We at times looked good in the first half, but like for the most part, usually the second half of games is where we usually try to make our comebacks. But um, I got you. Shout out to our star boy Rio. Definitely. Shout out to the star boy. Hey, whichever way it's a team game, so it is a team game. But it was a gritty, necessary win over Fulham. Let's just keep it real. Keeps us right in the conversation, and at the other end of the table, look, chaos is dark in the city of North London, or in the parts of North London. Um, Tottenham Hotspur. Yes, I am going to talk about the Spurs. Are starting down are starting down this inevitable streak of possibly going to the championship. It is dark to say the least because they are looking down the barrel of a relegation scrap. They had the opportunity to try to stay to hold pace, but they lost ground with their loss yesterday. And this is the league. It's alive. It's volatile. It's far from over for relegation purposes. It's far from over from top five purposes. Even for the City and Arsenal matchup for the title, it is still on the table. So I'm going to start by talking about this title race because this is something I wanted to talk about. we're going to talk about the league in general. Then we're going to talk about Liverpool. So I'm going to start off at the top with Arsenal, and uh, Arsenal had control of this game. They had momentum, and then they had the opportunity to pull real daylight between themselves and Manchester City, but instead they blinked. Some could say the sphincter got tight because a 2-1 loss to Bournemouth isn't just a bad result. It could be seen as a psychological collapse. It is the worst time to have this happen. Very, very, they have a very important game coming up against Sporting for in a game where they're only up 1-0 in this game, albeit they are at the Emirates, but they're only up 1-0 in this Champions League battle that they have on their hands. They'll have to go strong against them, and then have to go back to concentrating on getting their form back in the Premier League. And it's not easy as people think. Um, this isn't about one loss because they have more than one loss right now. It's about timing. It's about pressure. It's about whether the squad truly believes they can finish the job, a job that they've never finished before, really. Because City, trust us, we know too well. They don't hesitate. They will hunt you down, and Manchester cheaters are relentless when it comes to that. Now, Arsenal have invited them right back into this race, and that's just the way it is. Because I couldn't wish it on a better, more inviting squad of Arsenal than right now. It is amazing how quickly the internet has all of a sudden become a little bit more quiet. The chest of the quad, the talk of the treble has all of a sudden poof, disappeared. And now, even though they should still stay humble, they are still some that are out there flexing about their Arteta. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Well, let me say this. Manchester City are a very formidable team, even in this state. They went and reinforced in January window, and today it ended up working out for them because Manchester City didn't just win; they made a statement today. 3-0 against Chelsea doesn't seem like an inevitable or un incredible task or something along those lines. But I will tell you like this: they were efficient, they played controlled game, and they were ruthless once they started scoring. And it hurts because I don't like giving Manchester cheaters any bit of really props or praise. I can't stand seeing Pep Linders on the sideline giving hugs to Pep Guardiola. I can't. It rubs you the wrong way uh, seeing Gahey and seeing Semenyo involved in um, in their in their offensive bursts. But O'Reilly gets a goal, Gahey gets a goal, even Doku got a goal today. Um, all three good goals too, by the way. I did watch that game, and they showed the depth. They showed the danger of the squad. Um, I'll tell you this much: what's the difference in this little race, at least that's building up in my mind, um, is that the fact that I always say the fact that Manchester City already knocked out of the Champions League, don't have anything else to play for other than the Premier League. Now, um, and they have the FA Cup, excuse me, and they have the FA Cup, but they have Champions League and and they have Champions League and they have obviously the Premier League or Arsenal's pursuits. Manchester City's pursuits of the FA Cup probably is an achievable one. Manchester City could end up with a double, a domestic double this season, and that could say something. That could really say something for a season that they have really struggled at times. And it's not just Holland that's scoring for them any longer. It's now a system of players that are uh, scoring from their back line, scoring from obviously from their midfield, or if not from their front line. It's a machine with multiple solutions, and that's the very, very, very scary part of what Manchester cheaters have put together. Um, while Arsenal are showing cracks, um, Manchester City are building momentum quietly, methodically, I would call it, slowly but surely hunting down their prey. And they have the targets of Arsenal on their sights. And this is the phase of the season where they can go from contenders to inevitable if they put their cards right. I think that I am very interested to see how Arsenal perform in this Champions League matchup. And even if they do, and hypothetically, if they do go forward, they do, let's say, go on, they will have to face off against a even more formidable matchup. That's going to take even more of their efforts to get past. If they do get past Sporting, and it's going to be a very interesting situation for them. I'll tell you what's an even bigger story, possibly for some at least. I could see possibly something going down similar to what the streets is talking about in the chat too. Could possibly happen. It very well could possibly happen. But I wanted to talk about another portion of the story that is something of an interest to me because I do have some Spurs friends. I know I haven't seen Jacob broadcast too often lately. I don't know. Hopefully, everything's well with him and his family. Um, I know that I occasionally stop by Hotspur Hippie's channel. Um, it's kind of funny. The Hotspur Hippie, he's met me before, or we've interacted before, but he, of course, he doesn't remember. Maybe a little bit of that wacky tobacco, maybe or something. I don't know. Too much of it. Um, and um, there's also Kate, I believe her name is and her husband occasionally they stream together. She's a nice woman too, by the way. She's a Spurs fan. She does well with her channel. And of course, you have some of the other louder versions of the Spurs fan base. That's a different story. Um, Obviously, you have expressions, and then you have Deji, I think his name is, or something like that. Um, oh my God, the expressions is bad when it comes. And when I mean bad, I mean like as in he can be loud and abrasive. But the other Spurs content creator I'm talking about is different settings when it comes to just some of the things he says. Um, but I'm going to talk about something that nobody expected. I don't think anyone expected Tottenham to be in this place in a relegation fight. In a relegation fight, and that's what's wild about what we have in front of us. We have some real situations brewing. West Ham obviously did what they had to do. They ended up beating who West Ham had to play, but they played. Let me figure out who West Ham played. West Ham played Wolves. They beat Wolves 4-0, I think, or something like that. And now Tottenham are seeing themselves in 18th place. Now, what's wild about this to me is that I know that Tottenham have had some problems and situations with their management. And when I mean by management, I mean even their top management or even their lower management. And by the way, I'm not certain who this is with me, but this might be Lee or it might be his girlfriend. So let me see who's with us. Hold on, I'm bringing Lee. Hello.
Yeah, it's my 8-year-old alter ego there in me yellow Liverpool kit.
Okay. All right. Pick up. All right. Um, had to double check because I saw the name and I'm like, I don't know who this. I saw the name, but I saw the avatar. I didn't know who it was. But okay, sounds good. Sounds good. How you doing today, Lee?
Okay, not too bad, not too bad. In a
Good, good.
fairly jovial mood, like we got a win, didn't we? Like something to
Yeah,
hang on to.
yeah,
Bucked
yeah,
the trend a little bit of bad results, didn't we? Like because we
yeah.
needed the win. Yeah, so City done us that favour today by giving Chelsea a beating. Brings their
Yeah.
goal distance much closer to ours as well. That. So it's all good today, like actually.
They did. They gave them a nice little 3-0 beating. That brings their goal differential down to plus 12. We have a plus 10. So it helps us out. And if that gets down to that being the tiebreaker, shout out to Scouts Adam. Big up Adam. And shout out to Lone Sheep in the house. Big up to you both. Um, I was just in before I have Liverpool is the next subject. I have a bunch of stuff to talk about Liverpool. But like I'm talking about Spurs at the moment because I'm doing a Premier League review, and it is a weird situation seeing Spurs so low in this run. They don't have obviously they've been knocked out of Champions League. They don't have um, they're not in the FA Cup. They're not in the League Cup. They're um, they're holding on right now, holding on. They haven't I believe Tottenham haven't won a game in over 100 days. That is a crazy, crazy statistic. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but I know it's over 100 days they have not won a game, and that's hugely bad form. They've gone through obviously different managers. They sacked Ange. I don't think Ange was the problem, to be honest with you. I think that the compilation of players on this team and the way that Spurs fans are, I won't say they're delusional, but I will say that Spurs fans have higher expectations for their club than is realistic. Um, and it is a weird place because I know in the beginning of the year, I think that guy Deji, who I was talking about earlier, had them winning the Champions League, for instance. You know, it's one of those cases where, you know, um, they did get rid of their sporting director. They got rid of um, uh, even the owner stepped down in the sense of being, the main guy that has to deal with, managing and maintaining the ship. Um, Adam is saying Spurs are lucky that Leeds are involved. Also, Forest and West Ham will probably be safe. I don't think. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think Leeds is relatively safe. I think Leeds, out of all the teams in the bottom portion of the table, are probably the most in form out of all the teams. Possibly. Let me double check on Leeds. Yeah, they've gotten 2 wins, 2 draws in the past 5 games.
Mm. West Ham are probably the most informed team down there out of these four that's up for it. Forest, Leeds, West Ham and Spurs.
No, West Ham has gotten 2 wins, 2
Mm.
losses, and a draw.
Mm.
So
Okay.
they're about the same. They're very similar. They're very close. They're very close though. I think the West Ham victory over the Wolves maybe masked it because you know why? West Ham lost to Leeds. One of the wins was against for Leeds was West Ham.
Mm.
So that's why I was saying what it was. Um,
Yeah,
but that was also FA Cup, by the way, too. It wasn't in the league. It was in the FA Cup because they lost in it was ended up being a good game. It was a 2-2 draw and went to penalties.
they're in a bad way, Spurs, aren't they? Like, in a really
Hmm.
bad way. I thought that'd be a tough game for them today, and once Sunderland scored, there was no route back. Sunderland have been resolute in defence this season, and if you manage to break them down, you have to bloody well earn it. There's no gimmies against them, like no freebies, and Spurs just couldn't muster an attack of note to really
Hmm.
trouble them that hard.
Hmm.
So it looks desperate for them, really, to be honest. Um,
It's a wild one. You tell me what your take is, but I mean, with Spurs, what's weird about it is um, there's really no identity. There's no fight. There's no response really in this team that they have for a club that size to be dragged into a battle for relegation. It is embarrassing. I think it should be embarrassing to them. There's
Well,
no.
it is, and a lot of it's on the owners for chopping and changing so often. But the fan base doesn't help. Their fan base is so quick to judge and quick. Um, it's ridiculous sometimes.
No
I
patience.
actually,
Yeah, the
I've
patience
always
level.
had a soft spot for Spurs, as I've said many times, but I had to remind them myself about 18 months ago. I looked up their honours list, like, and there's sod all on it. And what there is was a very, very long time ago.
Mhm.
I was surprised how few times they'd actually won the league and not in
Mhm.
like 60 years or more, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is.
Sunderland, I think, have been champions more than them. I know Burnley have, for sure, and quite a few others.
Do I mean it is weird because Spurs are referred to as a Big Six team. I don't necessarily know if that is the truth of it all, but they're referred to as a Big 16. Um, what happens to that if they go into the championship? When if they go into the if they get relegated, and let's say they do come back 1 year later, let's say, no guarantee, but I mean, it would be a very big shock if Spurs weren't able to get back into the Premier League the next year. Um, if that was the case, do you think that impacts them as being a Big Six team forever, in a sense, or not forever, but for the immediate future?
I think they'd come straight back up if they went down, and it could actually be, perversely, a good thing for them to give them a shake up, and then they come back up and play much better. But they were
Mm,
always and have been traditionally a top six team. They were one of the big four. It was big 4 years ago. There wasn't a bloody six when I was a kid. The big four, and Tottenham were one of them. Like, now it's Big Six, and they're still one of them, like, because you do expect them to be in the Champions League at the very least. I mean, they got that trophy last season, which it's not the prize it once was, but that was good for them, and especially to get
Mhm.
one over United and get themselves qualified for this year's, which they did. But
Mhm.
they're not going to be in Europe next season, are they? And they'd be lucky to be in the Premier League the way things are going.
I'm going to ask you this. So you know how it is. There's teams that get relegated tend to get have players poached from their team. For instance, there's talk that not Jao Pedro. Now I'm gonna blank on his name. I'll pull up their team real quick. Jao Gomez. Jao Gomez. Um, Jao Gomez is apparently a top target for Liverpool, and Liverpool are apparently the top destination for a player like for Gomez, which is unique because I don't know if Jao Gomez is high on your that's a player that we need to go with or not. Um, uh, uh, Scouse was saying doesn't he disagrees. He says that they will have lots of players who will leave, so he's not sure they come back up right away. And I agree that you're right. There are going to be a lot of players that are poached. That's kind of the segue of what I was going to get into before we get into the Liverpool talk, and this is Liverpool related. But there will be players on their team that stick with them. There will be the fact that, say what you will, Tottenham do have money. They tend to have probably a lot more money than some of the other teams in the championship. So maybe they could sustain being in the championship for 1 year to get them back into the next stage of being back in the Premier League. But all the same, um, who on Tottenham, if they were to be relegated, would you go after? And I
I
told him
don't know.
today, I
You
could
would
say
lose
100.
quite a few top players, like, but not all of them. They'd still have the bones of a side that could ace the championship if it went well for them, which I would expect them to do. Don't have to say he fancies managing in the championship, but that's what he's got to stop, I mean. And they've got to start playing sooner rather than later because they're just not at the moment. They're not looking
Mhm, mhm,
like threatening anyone to win 3 points at the moment. He's got to change that very, very quickly.
mhm. Okay. Um, I don't know if the way that De Zerbi plays is not exactly um, a promising sign that they're going to be able to get out of that state, considering he likes to play a lot more open and expansive role where teams can sometimes, I don't have their way, but
Yes, he does, but he knows he's walked into a dumpster fire here, and he's got to, you know what I mean. He's got to come up with something else in the meantime. Yes, he can play nice at 3 football next season if they're still in the Premier League, but like he's got
Mhm,
to secure Premier League status, and that's going to take digging in. Mostly like to get
mhm,
it. I am worried for them. Like, if they gave a shit about how their fans felt, like, it'd be different, but I don't. But I do have a soft spot for Spurs dating back to childhood because they had good players like the kit. They were always in the cup a lot, like cup final and all that crap when I was a kid. Yeah, they were big club. They were London's glamour club when I was a kid. Arsenal were
mhm.
nothing. I hadn't done anything in years, and Chelsea were non-existent. So Spurs were the big one when I was a kid, the big London team, the Glamour Club.
Okay, okay. Um, yeah, you never know. You never know. There are some players on the team. I'm just thinking of the fact of there's a particular player on their team, and it would be a wild one if we did. I mean, we.
I quite like Bentancur, the Uruguay midfielder Mourinho bought.
Mhm.
But like only half like him in the sense that I'd have him for Liverpool. None of their other players move me really. I mean, Jed Spence and Porro. Who's the other one?
Kulusevski is a good player, I think.
Yeah, but he's done, mate. He's old now and had loads of injuries. He's gone.
Archie Gray. Archie Gray's a good player.
Who's all right, the kids, yeah. I don't know like how we go about getting him off them, like, but yeah, none of the others really do it for me. Like, I'd be
I mean, a
staying
lot
with.
of those players might push for an exit from the team. I mean, Van de
You'll
Ven,
find one.
Pedro Porro.
You'll find one. Players like Romero will find their exit no problem.
Mm-hmm.
So will players like Bentancur, I'm sure he'd probably be back off to Italy or something. I would imagine that bloke. But yeah, they will lose players, but they should be able to come back up. I can't say they couldn't at least finish in the top, whatever, in the championship and get in the playoffs or some shit. It'd be weird though because they haven't been an ever presence. I'm sure they haven't been relegated for a very, very long time, longer ago than us. We were relegated in the 50s, like they were not. I think the last time
I'm
they
gonna.
won the league was 63 or something. They might have even been 60 with
Mm,
them. But, you know, it's so long ago.
I can look for you. Um, let's see.
Danny Blanchflower. And who was the manager? Danny Blanchflower was the Spurs captain. And Summer Bloke was the manager. The famous one. Bill Nicholson, that was him, I think. Or he might have been Arsenal. I forget.
1960, 1961 was the last time they won the first division.
60, 61.
Mm-hmm. I'll say Kulusevski's not old. I know. Thank you, Lone Sheep. I let him go with it, but I want to have him finish his thoughts.
He's
Yeah,
joking, is
20.
he? Only 25, Kulusevski. He's been
Yeah,
around for ages. He's not 25, him. He's been around ages. Bollocks
no,
to
he's
that.
25. He's 25.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he must have come here when he was 17 or some shit now. 19, so
Uh, maybe you're thinking of some. Maybe you're confusing him with someone.
it's the injuries with him. I like him. He's exciting and explosive, got a rifle of a left foot, but he's always injured. Never on the
Because
pitch.
he joined Spurs in 2023. Other than that, he's been with
God, I
Juventus.
thought he'd been here forever. I thought he'd been here a
Uh,
lot longer than that, 23.
maybe would you take a little would you take a SAR, Pepe SAR?
No.
Maybe
Not
no.
as players really do it for me, to be honest. I'd let them go somewhere else and find other targets.
How about this? I'll stir the pot a little bit. Would you? And I will wash my mouth out with soap after saying this. But if would you take Richarlison if it meant Liverpool go on to win the Champions League?
Yeah, mate, I'd grow to love him, like, and his pigeon
You
stuff
would
and
take.
his
Oh,
antics and
see, that's not me.
mate, you
That
believe me if you could,
that
yeah.
is him. That is
It'd
him
have to
saying,
be 8. Yeah, it'd have to be 8, though, or something like we've already won 7, and then he comes, like, in a couple of years to finish off, and he's on our bench or something, like.
"That's not me." By the way, that is the opinion of Busty LaRue. Okay, that is the open opinion of Busty LaRue. Um, don't say it. I know it might come into reaction. It might actually come into reality. Who knows? They bring in it. Maybe we're looking for that. That chaos factor that left once we lost the likes of Nunez or Jota. Rest in peace. Maybe not. I know that you have a fiction. I know that your dad is an Everton fan, so I know that he's very he does like it. He does like it. I know it was a dirty question. I know.
thankfully divorce spared me the ignominy of potentially being an Everton fan. Didn't even know my dad liked football until I'd been a Liverpool fan for about 6, 7
Mm,
years at least.
mm,
Yeah, but like I'm happy for me dad when Everton do good. I never want them to
mhm,
get relegated because it's tight on me dad. And I've got Evertonian mates who are nice and not knobheads. Like, I mean, I've got Evertonian mate. I know Evertonian mates who are dickheads about footy, and there's just random Evertonians all the time in the city who want to gob off at you sometimes. But you
mm.
know, that's the life of a football fan.
That is, it is. Let's get into this Liverpool talk then. Now that we know that the only person in Liverpool that would take Richarlison as a red is our Busty Larue. Let's move on. Let's move on from there. How about that? All right, we have a massive update against PSG. We obviously know that we got the 2-0 win over Fulham. That's great. Nothing spectacular, but necessary. Obviously, this is the phase of the season that obviously wins matter. No matter how you get them, it means everything to get these W's across the board. And despite everything, despite the inconsistency, criticism, the pressure, Liverpool are still 4 points clear of Chelsea, holding their place in top four. We're only 2 points behind them in goal differential. Maybe, just maybe, we can build on the foundation of that and be able to push closer to solidifying our Champions League titles. Um, but Arne Slot has confirmed that Curtis Jones is going to miss Tuesday's night Champions League clash against PSG. He picked up a groin injury in that Fulham game and will not be available. We obviously know he was withdrawn from the game and like right, he made it through the, which is kind of weird. Is that he had the groin? He went down, felt something, had the groin injury. You could tell that he was pointing to his inner thigh, and what's weird about it is rather than bring him right off, he still stayed on the pitch. He played for another minute or two, and then we went into halftime. Uh, it's weird because you chance making it worse by him being in the game. Um, but obviously we drew him at halftime. Um, Arne Slot was not optimistic that he'd be ready for not only the PSG game, but what's scary about that is that he might not be available for a couple of our matches coming up in the Premier League as well. Um, Arnie said he felt a little bit of he felt a little bit in he felt a little bit his groin. Let's hope for the best, but I would be surprised if a player who comes off that he's available for Tuesday. That's a big, big blow for us. Jones has been one of the few players capable of carrying the ball, I think, and being able to progress the ball forward for us, break lines, something that Grab has had some difficulty doing this season, as of late at least. He injects energy into our team, into this midfield. Maybe a little even, I would even say, it goes far as say Chris Jones brings a little bit of stability. And it is something that is going to definitely hurt our chances. But obviously, against a PSG side that will dominate spells of possession, you need legs, you need control, you need composure. And why I'm bringing that up is because, man, Ali is still ruled out of this matchup. We saw him on the sidelines, but he said Arnie Slot said on Ali that Tuesday, I don't expect him. He's not training with the team. He will not be performing on Tuesday. So now you're walking into the biggest matchup that we have so far this season without our number one goalkeeper, without Curtis Jones, who could provide maybe strength off the bench, if not as a starter, and we're down 2-0 in aggregate. Yay! There you go. How about that? There's a little excitement, but the reality is, the reality of it is, maybe there's a flip side to this, and the flip side could be we're not going to Paris; they're coming to Anfield, and hopefully Anfield can become Anfield. Because if there's ever a moment for chaos, for belief, for something irrational to happen, it's at that ground. Um, how big of a loss do you think Curtis Jones is going to be, Lee?
It's a loss, but one we can absorb just about. Hopefully, if we don't get any injuries and need the extra body, we've got enough players to play, so it's not
Mhm.
a killer blow by any means. It's bad news because you want everyone available, as Slot said. But I just hope that we get like one goal on them, and give them a bit of a fright, get a goal back, put a bit of pressure on them, see how they react to it. I mean, I'm sure they react pretty well, like they used to pressure. But I want us to try and, at least be in it at some point, so we're all like, just one goal behind and we're attacking them. I wanted to at least get that far. But that's a tall order against a team this good to just
Mm,
hope and half sort of like expect anything like that. I just hope it happens and that the magic of Anfield on the night can produce something as unlikely as it might seem. But as I said for the start, just give them a bit of a scare, at least get a goal back, put the wind up them a bit.
mhm. Um, just speaking on to Adam and to Red Hunter supporter. I admit, in the first half, we gave our ratings for the players yesterday. At least me and JK did. Um, I'm going to be honest with Jones. Jones did something that I thought we needed for quite some time. That is just being comfortable on the ball in the midfield. Bringing about some control. Um, was he a standout performer? No, I wouldn't go that far. Some people did have him very highly rated. I saw Kopish rated him, for instance, they gave him like a 9 out of 10 or something for just his first half performance. And I was like, okay. I thought he was good, but I didn't think he was like a 9 out of 10. But all the same, and I'm a Curtis Jones fan. Excuse me. But with that said, um, yeah, I think it's going to be. I think just having the pursuit of having some depth is going to be a loss. That's what I mean. In that not having Curtis will be a loss, but hopefully we can get past it as Lee just suggested. And then I would even go as far as to say, obviously, um, Mohamed really has got to step up and be a all have an all time performance,
He's
and I mean that.
improved. He's improving, isn't he? Obviously, Allison had that wonderful performance in Paris last year, which
Mhm.
won us the game as much as Harvey scored the goal, and that went down as the winning goal. Allison was the one who won us the game.
Someone
The
else,
amount,
hey, Darwin
the
had the
amount,
assist. Give him some props too.
yeah, the amount of great
I
saves
know I know
Allison.
you're not a big Darwin fan anymore, but I got you
I
for sure.
don't know,
I
yeah,
got you.
yeah, amount of great saves he made in Paris was abnormal, and he was just
Mhm,
on fire that night. He could not get past them for love nor money.
mhm.
But Mamazashvili has settled in the last few games. I think he looks more like a guy who feels okay. This is going to be my position, like pretty soon. You know what I mean? He's getting himself ready, and that like to be the number one permanently, and that's all good. I've been okay with him lately. I think he's all right. He's got to improve a bit with his feet and get his bearings a bit
That's
quicker with his feet.
that's that's where I was going to get to. I'm going to get to these two comments too, by Adam and by Red Hunter supporter. But that's what I'm mindful of. As in, we miss out on the distribution of playing out from the back, with Ali not there because Marmar Dash really is not Ali when it comes to playing, playing, using his feet to get passes off. And if it's not going to be that, then I just want to see him have an absolutely stellar performance in the goal. That's all. Just play, play, play to another level. That's all I can say. Because we're gonna need that kind of performance. If you're heading the game and just save shots. Don't worry about trying to be, vocal and be what Allison is in the back in our back line, being a leader like that. Just be a shot stopper for us against Tuesday, because we're going to need you to get a clean sheet, to have any bits of a chance at moving on. Real quick before I go into this next segment, I will go. Or sorry about that. Ram Traders said it was nice to see Gakpo get an assist. It was. Again, this is why sometimes when I see some of the content creators out there, I am not. Obviously, people know I'm not a huge fan of Hussam, even though I do support him by being subscribed to his channel, and occasionally on the hot occasion watching his show, because I mean, you got to watch everything to be able to have a voice on everything that's being spoken in our world or in our community. But yeah, I he gets on a lot of different platforms, and it's frustrating sometimes because he's someone that I know has possibly never played football in his life, and has no experience as being a coach, doesn't have experience being an agent, doesn't have experience being even like I said, a player, and yet, so often his opinions are central and in the main spotlight, and he was basically downgrading and disrespecting Cody Gakpo yesterday and his play. And I was thinking, like, I think yesterday's game at Fulham was one of Cody Gakpo's better games in the spell of games he's had recently. I'm not saying he was world class. I'm not saying he was next level. But what I am saying is that sometimes when you talk to people or you hear some of these content creators talk, they're so wrapped up in at clickbait emotions settings to say things that aren't really, they're not relatable, or they're not even factual. And say what you want, but I mean, he got the assist to Mohamed Salah. I thought, he almost got himself a goal. Um, he could have done more of a couple of the attempts or opportunities he had. However, I was glad to see that he wasn't just quote unquote predictable Gakpo. There was a couple of times I saw him take his man to the byline. There's a couple of times that you saw him get involved defensively. Um, it was a solid performance by Cody, and you have to give people credit when they do well enough to contribute to a win. Cody contributed to our win. He wasn't something of a deficiency on the pitch. And that's what gets frustrating when you hear some of the content creators just preach their hate rather than preach the truth. So I just wanted to make that. And shout out to Red Armchair Supporter. It was nice to see Gakpo get an assist yesterday.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? He popped it off just in time there, like, and
Mhm,
look, he's been in shockingly bad form on the left wing, but
mhm.
it was
He has been.
changed for him yesterday, and he got more joy, like, got into it. Didn't get his own goal, but he had that shot that whizzed past the near post, the one that he dragged a little bit, but
Mhm,
that was quite
mhm.
close. Then there was the one that come over from Frimpong's cross, and he controlled it with his groin, but it hit the bone and bounced off, didn't it? away from
Hmm.
his, from where he could have a shot. But
Yeah,
he did better, and he played his part, until Isaac come on later on.
exactly,
He went the little run out.
exactly,
He did what we asked of him, and he provided
exactly.
the basis for us to be able to go on and win the game. Being through the middle, yes, he didn't score, but the two guys up front with him did.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. It was lively. It was enough that he got off I think 3 or 4 shots, and like it's the point where okay, yes, he didn't score, but still the same. He is a target that makes the defenders have to respect him because anyone can score in the league, no matter what you do about it. And Cody, once you don't want to give him the opportunity to find his shooting boots because once he does, he becomes one of the more viable shooters in the league, and that's why it's like rather than try to just like give him props or give him a little bit of like a hey, it's good to see him get a little bit of footing and maybe he can push forward to being better at his game. You got these like just as Red Armchair supporter said, these agenda merchants like Hassam out here being spouting all this like hate towards him, and I'm just like, I understand we frustrated. He's played poorly in some of these games previously, and he's not the breath of fresh air that Rio was yesterday. I agree with that too, but he's a steady player and he could be a very viable squad player for us. I never have said that Cody Gakpo deserves to be our outright starter, but I will say that when Cody Gakpo is able to be in a tandem with a good player like a Lucho or maybe even a budding Rio, all of a sudden you have depth at that left wing. And rather than listen to some of these, again, agenda merchants like Assam, again, it can frustrate the hell out of me sometimes. You have to recognize that those kinds of players are the exact essential players we're missing this season. Those same players are the players that that would get you the goal against PSG like a Elliott, or would get you the goal against Forest like a Darwin Nunez. Okay, they're the players that you do need. And again, you can say what you want about Cody and likes, but Cody, for instance, was one of our top scorers in our domestic cup runs, and it matters. So there's always a position or a role a player can play. I'm not saying that Cody Gakpo is the outright left wing starter, hands down. Move on. Not remotely. But what I am saying is that a Cody that is in form is a Cody that can help us win games. Sometimes the whole like disrespectful stuff that you hear is gotten way, way over the line. Because I mean, these players do hear the they do hear this stuff, and it's a shame because I know Cody does very much love Liverpool. He's God fearing man, but he's very, very into the respect and beauty of what Liverpool is, and he is he's prideful to play for this club. So yeah, sometimes it gets under my crawl a little bit. So I'll move on from my Gakpo soapbox. Um, because yes, I do need Cody to step up even more, and I'm hoping that he can find his shooting boots. But there is something that I did want to talk about because our captain spoke on this, and it was interesting. I know that you watched the game. I know that you saw a different um, a different broadcast than myself, but sometimes different camera angles are used by the producers in the trucks. In our broadcast on this side of the pond, they showed the fan protest, the in Anfield fan protest, and it was very interesting because it was not something. I mean, they showed the entire walk. So for a good possibly 30 seconds of the broadcast, not only were we or people at the grounds watching it, the world was watching. So what was said was this. So Liverpool fans obviously made their voices loud and clear. They had a sign that said, "Not a pound in the ground," or they said something of, or "No to ticket prices." Prices. I think it was the sign. It said no to ticket price increases was the sign, and um, the protests against ticket price increases have dominated Anfield as of late. Um, our captain Virgil van Dijk didn't shy away from it. He said the fans are the heart and soul of the club. If they feel like this is, if they feel like this, then protest is their fair right. That's what Virgil van Dijk had to say. I think that's, again, for all those that don't recognize Virgil van Dijk as a leader, that's your prerogative. Um, Mr. Some of our good friends, Mr. Bold included. I see you out there, but I think that's bold leadership to to obviously speak on a subject that is not an easy subject to speak on. And that's because I think that's understanding what Liverpool Football Club actually is the fans are the heartbeat, they're the blood and soul of this team. And I think it can at times show a deeper disconnect because ownership and the supporters, are two separate entities. I get that. Um, you hear people talk about business and oh, this is just business, and we're going to get into this is just business for a particular player in 1 second. But I hear people talk about, oh, this is just business, or this player needs to go, and that player needs to go, and it's sports. This is the business of sports, and this is where we are now. And that's just it. That's how it is. And it's like, again, I don't know if the streets are with us anymore right now, at least, but that's where the football romantic in me is sometimes interwoven with, in the sense of I understand it's business, but it's culture as well. And good business is recognizing good culture and creating good culture will promote better business. That's at least my perspective. And I know if this isn't resolved, it's only going to grow louder. Shout out to Jean Grey, by the way. Big up our Red Queens in the house. Big up. But do you think that Liverpool, who again, this is the first time they've had a price increase, and I think this their price increase has been this team has been one of the longest going clubs to have gone without a price increase. So I think it's been over something like 10 years or something like that. It's been a long time since they've had a price increase. Excuse me. But they're stating that it's inflation. They're stating because of, they're still stating that they're still trying to make up from the losses that they made in COVID or in the pandemic years. What are your thoughts, Lee? What are your thoughts? Are Liverpool risking long-term damage with decisions like this? Are they risking losing um, the fan base?
Yeah, some parts of the fan base, and to me, it looks like they don't mind losing some parts of the fan base because they'll just replace them with other people with more money.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but it may chip off the atmosphere a bit, like as these things come to a head.
Hmm.
I don't know what the answer is here, but it's
Should.
not just because like a lot of other clubs have like been up in their prices. No reason we have to join them necessarily, but
Mhm.
okay, it's business and all that jazz, like, but they make a lot of money, and it's only like £1 million or something in it that they'll make 1.2 million off this price rise, which is
Mhm.
nothing, is it? Like 1.2 million, but to people whose
Mhm.
pockets it's coming out of, like individually, it was struggling anyway compared to maybe what they were a couple of years ago in terms of the price rises in food and fuel and just about everything else that cares to name. So yeah, it's bad PR, definitely.
Yeah.
People moan, haven't they, for the money they pay to go these days?
Yeah. It's crazy because we were just speaking on Spurs, for instance, and you think about this, the sheer fact that I know it costs something like for season tickets, I believe, I would think is like around what $713 or around $700 for season tickets, right? Um, but the tickets for Spurs, Hotspur, or for Tottenham are $150 more, £150 more, excuse me, than Liverpool's prices. Chelsea more $100, £100 more than Liverpool's current prices. If you were to go to an Arsenal game at the Emirates, okay, you're looking at £350, at least £350 more to get season tickets there.
Yeah, but this ain't London, you know what I mean? London is
And that's the
dear.
thing. That's the thing. I get that. I get that too. I get that. I do get that. So it's a wild one. I feel your pain. I know here in America, it is very, very expensive to get season tickets for any sport, pretty much, whether it's basketball, football, um, American football, that is, even MLS now. Season tickets for MLS games have become very expensive to get as well. I pay money to. I know that's the thing about it. The fact that Spurs are paying that much for season tickets is absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Well, I'll tell you something that's wild. Speaking about paying, this one's going to hurt because this one's something that really, really uh, pushed my buttons a little bit, and that is that Andy Robertson, who I consider one of the greatest left backs in Liverpool history, is leaving. We all know that. But the reality of this hurts, and that is that apparently Liverpool did not make a contract offer to him. And that tells you everything you need to know about the board, about this coach. I saw this and I thought about our beloved, or at least my beloved. I know this, some of you hold Klopp very close to your heart too. I saw this and I thought about how there were times under Jurgen Klopp where he would fight for players to get extensions. Your Milners, like your Hendersons. He would actually fight and make a point to fight for them getting extensions, despite the fact that Milner was well into his 30s by that time. And it's wild because why I find it a little disheartening to hear that we didn't even offer him a contract. It's also because Arnie Slot didn't stand up and say, we need to give him a contract. And I think it's emotional, obviously, for me to say that. I get that. I know people are going to say it's business. His legs are gone. This is gone, or whatever. Blah blah blah. It's certainly strategic, but it shows the emphasis of how Arnie Slot is reshaping this team. And Robbo, even though he is a very important part of our leadership group, very important part of our locker room, still that didn't matter enough. and that he was looked at as being a part of the old guard being phased out. It's ruthless. I understand it's modern football, but I'll say his legacy will always be untouchable, in my opinion, no matter how they show him to the exit. He's given relentless energy. He's always been elite deliveries. He showed leadership. He's had titles. He's helped define an era of football for us. How do you feel? How is this? How do you feel, the knowing what I just said is the truth?
Yeah, well, the Tottenham thing was a bit surprising to me if that's where he's going to go. I thought his heart would have been back in Scotland, which I think Celtic is his club, if I'm right. I thought that's where he'd be off back there, like just captain Celtic and carry on captain Scotland. But if he
Hmm.
goes to Spurs, like, be interesting to come up against them as an opponent.
Sure.
Um, yeah, but I mean, it's another headache for us replacing him, isn't it? Like, got to
It
find a
is.
number for Kirkhead now, a viable, decent number two, and hopefully someone
Mhm.
who's fit a
It
lot of
could
the
be.
time.
It could be. I mean, who knows?
Really
Maybe,
worries
maybe,
about the right
maybe
back.
their plan. Maybe their plan is just to bring Simicast back or something. Who knows?
Mm.
But um, but you're right. It is. I think it's. I think it's a deeper. The deeper part of what makes it hard. Uh, Good night, Eric. By the way, good night. Thanks for joining us. I know it's late. I know it's late. It's a little Adult Swim here. And I appreciate Lee staying up late for us as well. I know it's like 11. Let's closing at 11:20, right? 11:30, somewhere around there. So,
Yeah, 11:20, yeah, in Liverpool.
um, but what really rubbed me the wrong way, I guess, is exactly what I just said. Is that the fact that no one stood up and said, "Hey, let's offer him something," because we recognize the fact that even a somewhat depleted Robbo is still a viable Robbo that can contribute, that can obviously perform, and also, most importantly, can provide some type of role of leadership for this team. And that was overlooked, obviously. Maybe it was overlooked. Maybe it's overlooked because his voice is a voice that might provide leadership, but it might not be the type of direction. Maybe he didn't believe in the direction that the team was going or the coach is going. Maybe he was being vocal in that perspective because it is wild. I think I put this in there. I don't know if I did, but there is talks that Juventus. Let me see if I can pull up the actual tweet. There are talks that Juventus have spoken to Ali and are trying to bring him in for a 3-year deal. 3-year deal. What are your thoughts about that? Oh,
Uh, 3-year deal for him. You
for
talking about
Ali, Allison.
Oh, Alisson, what, where? With who? Juventus, that
Yep.
one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't see him going there. I hope he doesn't. It pissed me off if he goes there because I don't like that club for obvious reasons. Deprived me of European football as a young chap, a schoolboy was. But anyway, aside from that, no. If he goes, I'd like him to go back to Brazil and he'd be happy there. Like, don't want him going to Juventus. I could stomach him going somewhere else in Europe, but not Juventus of all places.
Well, his one of his coaches is one of his coaches where that is there, and that's why I'm trying to find the tweet, and I can tell you in a second. Hold on, let me just look it up here. Because I only have, don't worry, I only have one more. I have one more story.
Well, if we've got the Ibu thing sorted out, that's something, isn't it? Because yeah, like we've already got Robertson and Salah leaving, having
Hmm.
Ibu leave would be another, like somebody from, he's got friends in the squad. He's been here a while. Hugo as well, like to come in, French player. Xhaka as
There's
well. It'll help to have a little group, but it always does help. It does with Dutch players generally. And it is a good thing. Usually, when you have a group of players from the same country, they can all give each other comfort and solace in their own language whenever they choose, and vibe together. So that's something. I'd still like us to have a fifth centre back for next season. So like someone like Senesi, who's on a free, I believe, in the summer, has been doing good for Bournemouth. Certainly did good yesterday against Arsenal. He's the type of guy I think would be all right, like experienced Premier League and that way, be able to pick him up for nothing. But if they're gonna
I
do
don't think
that,
it's I don't think it's not Taffarel. By the way, it is. I'm trying to remember who it was that they mentioned. Um,
He was good, Tapper. He was a bloody good goalie, Tapper. He was Finley, wasn't he, for a while? He was a backroom dude, wasn't he, for Allison for a while? Tapper come over to do
mm,
some of the Brazilian goalie stuff.
yeah.
Claudio.
This was on April 3rd. This was what he said. Allison said, "I didn't suffer a new injury. I'm in the treatment phase, and the phase is to be in full playing condition by the end of April." That's what he was saying. But what it was is that his coach, I think it was the original coach, um, is Felipe Lopez or Felipe Luis. Is he the coach of Juventus? Who's the coach of Juventus?
What
Probably,
now?
Hmm?
What now? What now?
Yeah, yeah, right
It's
now.
Spatelli.
Spitali?
Yeah.
It's not him.
Spitali.
There's a connection. There's some connection to the coach for some reason. Maybe it was
Oh yeah, it was
Spalletti
Spalletti. Yeah, because he was the coach. He was his coach when he was at Roma.
at Roma, right? Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That's why. Yeah.
Yeah, and apparently Ali wants to end his. He wants to give Italy a run of play.
Okay. If he's into it and the coach is there, I've stomached that he goes to Juve. I would have preferred he went somewhere else because we distaste for that club. But anyway, I'll stomach that. If that's what he wants, been good for us. Mamazashvili needs to be number one then, don't he now, and stay number one.
Yeah, I'll show you this right now. This is wild, wild. Let me show you this.
Another guy to
It's like,
replace though, because we can't be having that bloody Woodman fella. If Mamazashvili's injured, can't be having that. We need a new goalie as well, don't we now?
no, and that's the whole point of why I'm bringing this up is that, like,
New
you recognize.
goalie,
So
Robbo replacements, maybe a right back because Bradley, I mean, is he ever going to be on the pitch again for more than a
look,
5-10?
look.
Um,
This is our 2019 Champions League final squad right here, right?
mm,
You realize that only at the end of by summertime, only Ali and Virgil will be the only players left on that from that 2019 summer from that 2019 Champions League team.
oh,
And
God knows.
not only that, possibly and even possibly with this news, Ali leaving would mean that Virgil van Dijk would be the only player left from the 2019 Champions League team.
I can only assume if he
Starting
wants to
11.
go back that he likes Italy and he liked the life there and it was
He did.
more, you know what I mean?
He did. Yeah.
Because like as a challenge now, like I mean, yeah, it is in a different way these days, Serie A. But there's no money there. It's still like players only go there when they're washed usually now, don't they? Or washed in other leagues, should we say? And then they go there and do well for a while. Mate, I couldn't get over it. Inter Milan's team against City in the final. Half of them have been in the Premier League, but like 10 years previous. It's like, oh, there's that guy from like 2010-11 season. I remember him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Ali goes at the end of the season. I think he stays for another year.
You do?
Yeah, I don't think he goes. I don't think he goes.
I hope not. I won't stay just in case he can get like on. Is that the right way to say it? On top of this hammy thing, or underneath it, whatever, and sort it out so he can be available more next season, because we can't have him in and out every 4 times. You need your goalkeeper regularly.
Yeah, but look, like I said, there is reports that he has agreed in principle. That's the reports.
Yeah,
So
I believe that
one. Alison Becker has given his principle of agreement to Juventus, and that they are offering him a 3-year contract. That is going to be, and the reason why it's also possibly got some legs under it is because they are going to be offering him the same salary he makes here currently. So they'll just give him 3 more years of what he's making currently.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they could, but I still don't see it, because there has to be. I mean, his agreement that doesn't mean he's unless he forces his way to go. I still think we done the extension for a reason. Maybe, yeah, again, it could be possibly to get some money for him, but I think at this precise moment, unless he really forces it, I don't see. I just don't see it happening.
Mm-hmm. Oh well, we did extend his contract, so we do have another year of Ali on the books. But they could have maybe done that just to obviously procure some type of get some money back for him. That's just maybe not. But big up Peter, by the way. Big up. Yeah, Ali linked to the summer. Look, I was going to ask you this. I have a transfer focus segment here, and my transfer focus was on a player that just played actually. He was a player that played against um, Arsenal. But Liverpool are already planning ahead, and the player that I'm talking about is a promising young player. His name is Eli Junior Kroupi. 19 years old, has double-digit goals, has some big performances, obviously against Arsenal, especially. This isn't hype. This is production. He's being valued at 55 to 60 million pounds. I know that made me cough too.
Spaniard and Supo's doing well for them, and James Tavernier as well is playing well. They are going to start like what Iraola's moulded them into, and it was funny to see him do that to Arteta. One Spaniard on another. I think they're probably from bloody miles, probably born miles apart or some shit like from the same place. But it was a good match-up, and they done a number on them there, didn't they? And deservedly so. They well deserved that victory, like, no doubt about it.
Scott Adam has won the lottery in principle. There you go. I get you. I get where you're going with that, Adam. I'm bringing up this name because 55, 60 million, it's wild. I don't know. for me, it's wild because 55, 60 million usually back in the day. Well, I'm talking about back in the day, as in like maybe like 3, 4 years ago. 55, 60 million was a lot. I I remember it was for El Nino. Didn't we get like 50 million? And
We did,
at the
50,
time,
52,
at
isn't
the
it?
time, at the time, that was like a Premier League like record at the
Yeah,
time.
I think it was, wasn't it? There'd been someone else, like a big fee, like Ferdinand or something, I think it might have been. I don't know. It was only about 30 odds, wasn't it? Like from
Mhm,
anyway, but yeah, Torres then become the thing, didn't he, with 50
mhm, mhm.
records.
But I guess you could say with the Richard Hughes Bournemouth ties, maybe this has a little bit more of legs underneath it. But then again, someone could also say, well, why isn't Semenyo a Liverpool red as well? Then um, Semenyo's an interesting shout. I'm still not completely sold on Semenyo being the player that we needed. That was like the make or break deal that we needed to go for. But he is a very good player. But this does feel possible. Most importantly, it makes us recognize the fact that this does seem like a Liverpool signing, being that he's only 19 years old, young, dynamic, very high ceiling. I'll ask you guys in the panel: is Kroupi the right profile for Liverpool? Is he the next? Is he the next generation of our attacking evolution?
Possibly if he keeps progressing, like he'd be one to watch, won't he? I mean, he's just come in, but he's hit the ground running. Few have Igor Thiago at Brentford as well, doing good. I mean, we're okay for attackers right now, aren't we? Like, obviously, with Hugo and Isaac. It's on the flanks, isn't it? We're looking more. I mean,
Mhm.
maybe you could play a bit wide, like something we're both plays. I don't know. Um, we need a replacement for Mo first and foremost, don't we? I mean, we've got Rio on the right, but we probably need someone else as well, don't we? Bit of a shopping list, there's some replacement for Robbo. I'm worried about the right back thing with Bradley's complete lack of fitness over a long period of time, and Frimpong's struggles with fitness this season. I mean, that's been such a thorn in our side this season, filling that position. I'm worried about that as well next season. If we've got enough money to sort that out, should we need to?
What do you think, Nolante? Oh, maybe Nolante with us.
Kroupi, yeah, it's just I think we're just jumping on the Bournemouth bandwagon. They done well. They bought him.
Mm.
We've got a good scouting system. We're jumping on the bandwagon. He's a good player. Don't get me wrong, but he's not what we need.
It's not
He's
what
not
we
what we
need.
need. Yeah.
That Weaver, the Dutch fella for Brighton, looked good getting two, didn't he? You only look at the last matches, don't you? And like, obviously they don't go, but Brighton, I mean, they've got Chelsea next. No, they've got one more game, then they play Chelsea after Chelsea play United. But Brighton can do Chelsea in Brighton.
Hmm.
Us, no end.
Yeah.
Right.
Um. All right. I thought maybe we'd have a little bit more of people interested in this deal. I guess not. Okay.
I like the
All right.
idea of Bowen then, because like we can't afford Elise. Just grab Bowen for a couple of years because he's still got the pace. I've been watching him the last like bloody week or so. Like, at
Mhm.
Wembley and then the other day, like when he battered Wolves, he's still got that pace, mate. Bowen can bomb in from the left.
Hey, you don't want to hear me go on about Bowen and My
Well, it's the price.
fascination.
I don't know how many years he's got left, but surely we could get him at a reasonable price because we can't afford to like buy all the players we need
We're
and
we're
then
we're, we're not
150
gonna
plus on lease. Right?
we're
It's
not
probably
getting Bowen. If West Ham stays up, Bowen's not going to be a Liverpool fan. Bowen's not
yeah,
going to.
they are a stubborn club to get off. It's like they don't want to let go, which I don't think they would do. But
No.
if it came to it and Bowen was like, look, I want this move, stop it please, and just agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think go for him.
Nalante. Speaking of Bowen, Nalante. Busty LaRue wants, or not once, but Busty LaRue is open to Richarlison. If Spurs get relegated, bringing Richarlison to Liverpool. Wow. Okay. All right.
Shocked him
These,
so much he disappeared.
I know, man. Wow.
In a red shirt. What an amusing thought that is for us to have to like chant his name even. It's a strange one, isn't it?
Yeah, that is what it is. It could be. He could be. Possibly Emery. He could be. Um, Big up to you joining us. Big up to Trudon, by the way. Trudon, you got us. I didn't see the comments. That's why I haven't done the spanner thing. If you leave a comment, like I said, I'll get you a spanner to um, join the others. The other thing I was gonna say, yeah, 19 years old though. Interesting. Look, Bournemouth have shaken this title race up, to say the least. Um, it's going to be big because you know what's crazy about this is that Arsenal now have that big game against Sporting at the Emirates, but they can't look past that game. They're not up enough in the game to be able to look past it. It's not like they're up 3-0, 4-0. They can, play some of their reserves. They've got to hold that down and get through that fixture. And then right after that, guess who is waiting? Manchester City. Manchester City. Just like it is going to be wild. It is going to be a wild one. Oh, for this
This
title race.
game between Arsenal and City might have come a bit too quickly from Arsenal's point of view, with them just losing at home to Bournemouth. Maybe it would have been better a few weeks down the line for them when they'd regained their composure, but it's going to be a big test for them. I feel like that Arteta can, though, go there and get some board draw on the go, like, with maybe a 0-0 or maybe a 1-1 with a goal for a set piece. He has got a good chance of doing that still. But if they lose that, mate, I mean, they'll be really feeling the breath down the necks, won't they? Because
They would, but I don't think that I think that unfortunately Manchester City would have to go on a run like no other and win all the rest of their games, which they possibly could, but it's not a guarantee. It's not a 100% guarantee.
well, I would imagine
And
if they
then
beat
and then
us in that game, that will give them um, the bounce to go on and do exactly that and finish it off. I don't know who their last games are. City, I haven't looked that far at it. I've forgotten if I did look, but
I think
yeah.
I think that Arsenal are going to go to the Etihad and play for a draw.
Well, I do, yeah, and that'll
Yeah,
be enough.
they should. Yeah, they will. They should.
I think that would possibly be enough to get them over the line. Then that'd be a massive blow to City. That the gap is
Yeah,
still 4 points. So,
but I think that I do think that them trying to play for a draw could, especially at the Etihad, especially against a team like that has Holland and Semenyo and Doku and all these players that are can show bits of dynamism. Even O'Reilly, by the way, who's all of a sudden turning into a goal machine for him.
yeah.
I think that could jeopardize them. Like, as in, it could be the same. They could fall into the same problem that we fell into against PSG, going into a game where you set up not to score, but you set up just trying to not get scored on. That's not. I don't think that's like good football, really. I understand that some teams do it. I understand that some teams have to do it. I just think that this.
I,
Go
I
ahead.
mean,
Go ahead.
I don't think they'll be as bad as us. As much as I don't want us, and I agree with Truden. I think, hopefully, I'm wrong. I still think, for me, City have to win the game in hand, beat Arsenal, be level points. Then I'll say City will win it. But again, you'd rather be in front than you are behind. And because City, I remember they played City twice at Emirates. Not, I think the season before when they were challenging, they drew 0-0 because they thought that would be enough for a point, and they flopped the other games. And then last season they played again same, but they had the little counter attack. So I think Arsenal will be smart with it. City are not
Mhm.
going to City. This is a different City team. It's not the City of old that dominated. Obviously, City will, but Arsenal will counter attack. So I don't think they'll play it. And it hurts me to say it won't be as horrible as we were. They at least have
Mhm.
some kind of attacking product. That's the thing for me. That's the
Mhm.
thing. So it's just what City can do, because City, in the return leg against Emirates, they played a little bit counter attack defensively a bit for the first time, and then they
Well, he
won.
had them off
So
at Wembley, didn't he? Guardiola, he had his former coach off at Wembley in the League Cup final. Like,
Yeah.
we'll have to wait and see, won't we? It's an
yeah, we'll
interesting.
see. It'll be a good game.
Yeah, it could go down to the wire. This like last game.
Yeah,
Also
yeah,
with the relegation as well, it's quite interesting, isn't it? With the four clubs,
yeah,
West Ham, Spurs, Forest and Leeds.
yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, look, our top five have definitely been helped out by City today beating Chelsea the way they did. Um, I think Chelsea is in a weird position right now. Obviously, they got internal problems with some of the players speaking openly about maybe moving on to Real Madrid, or openly about like the direction the club is taking with the younger players that they're bringing in. There's been a lot of the Blue Company has gotten a lot of pushback by the Chelsea fans out there, which is interesting. I mean, Chelsea supporters are a different breed, in my opinion, considering most of them are still pining for Abramovich to return in
of
one way or
course.
another,
Yeah,
despite the fact of what he represented and what he did to the league, and obviously the things that he's done that has created the environment that we live in today with the league and the way that a lot of the players are paid and the likes and yada yada. Um, Chelsea are in problem stage right now. They are in a bad way. They've obviously the loss to City is one thing, but in the last what's 5 games, they've had one win. Port Vale. That was their one win.
yeah.
That's
Good.
crazy.
It is, but you can smell it. You can smell it. I mean, they gave the job to a guy who's just graduated uni. I mean, they gave it to the uni graduate, and this is what's going to happen eventually. You can come with a philosophy and stuff like that, but and they're still weak at the back. They got no experience, so we're just lucky. They're just as bad as us, if I'm honest. We are very
Oh,
lucky.
I
They
don't. I think they're worse than us, to be honest with you. I know we
are.
have to play them. I know we have to play them. I know that they can
Probably.
play well on a good day. They can play well.
Yeah.
They did against Villa, obviously. But in the last 10 games, I think the only Premier League team they've beaten is Villa.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
only team they've beaten.
Yeah. Well, if I'm honest, there's not much to go between both of us, really. To be honest, there may be just a little bit, but like I said,
Mm,
we are just lucky because otherwise we'll be out of a top. Well, it's top five Champions League race, so obviously, like
mm,
good thing, everything's gone forward with us. It's just again the Merseyside derby. Well, I know PSG and the Merseyside derby. This is the thing, is if we lose again, and so it's the thing. It's game by game now because we can't be trusted. So
mm. I get what you're saying too. I mean,
yeah,
you would think because Chelsea is Chelsea that we should have more of a more there should be more of a competitive run in them than what we're seeing. But I'm just saying, I think Chelsea are in a weird state. Obviously, there's players on that team that think that Maresca should never have been fired. By the way,
yeah. I mean,
so
it's out blatant. Mm.
it's obvious that the direction and the belief and some of the I don't know, just some of the faith in everything isn't exactly there. Um, and then you go as far as I know that Villa are they're kind of silently moving on and getting on with their ways. But I think that even I've been saying that I would like to see, and maybe I need to bring my spreadsheet thing out again, like I said, but I think that third place is something we should target. And I think that despite the fact that we're only sitting 3 points behind third place currently. Three
That's
points behind fourth place, technically.
Well, we're looking at Leeds getting a result there, aren't we? And then United will truly be within our grasp. But that's only if
Right.
we keep winning. We can't be under the false assumption that we're going to keep winning just because we beat
exactly.
Fulham side like 2-0. Do you know what I mean? And they
I
weren't
think
really that good on the day, Fulham. I'm not denigrating what we did,
I,
but they
I
were probably the perfect opposition. Although they've been awkward to play for us of late, it just fell right that game, didn't it? And I
I'm
just
just
don't
trying
want
to
any distraction from it for Wednesday. And then if we go out on Wednesday, we go out fighting so we can take that into the Everton game. Don't want to go out
yeah,
like
no, we don't want to go out looking, embarrassingly go out. And I was gonna say, look, my prediction a long time ago was that we'd win the Champions League. That's looking a little bit suspect now. I understand that, um, but what I can say is, even if we were to get knocked out of the Champions League, and maybe now then have no excuses of we've got too many fixtures or we've got this, we've got that. Premier League will become our only focus. We should be able to rally and get across the line. 3 points. I think Villa is a very, just as Red Armchair supporter is saying, I think Villa is a very viable, uh, you know, team that we can get, um, uh, you know, surpass in the standings.
we have a reasonable Villa Park record, always have. Emery's Villa, we've been quite good against since he's been there, under Klopp at first and under Slot last season.
I mean, we
But
can't keep in mind we still have to. Yeah, there. We still have to. There you go. Yeah, there you go. We still have to go against Villa later on in the season. So I mean,
well,
we
I
got
said the home games, didn't I? We should win all the 4 home games to give us a good chance. We've won 1 now. We got 3 home games left and 3 away games. We got
right.
Palace, we got Chelsea, and we got Brentford last of all, haven't we? The home games on the last day. So
Mm-hmm.
we've got to be winning them. And if we do, whatever we can get on the road's a bonus at
It's a good
Everton,
way of looking
Villa,
at it.
Man
Yeah,
United.
that's a good way of looking at it. Yeah, I can agree on that. Um, but I think Chelsea are in a state of flux right now. You have players, looking for the exit door, um, and it's not even that. It's the fact that a lot of those players that are trying to exit or trying to leave the team, a lot of those players are on enormously long,
Long
contract deals, like
contracts with huge wages.
as in huge wages, and it's like you set yourself up to be tied to this team, despite the fact that yes, you've set yourself up financially for a long time. However, you have now set yourself up to whereas in other teams can't afford to give you the deals that are going to be able to get you across the line to another deal. Real Madrid, Enzo wants to talk about going to Real Madrid. For instance, I'd have to let me look up real quick what his deal is right now. Because he just put in a request to be transferred. Let me see.
I think we'd have to make up some goal difference on United. We did get level on points with them.
Okay, let me just say this right now, because he signed in 2023. Okay, Enzo Fernandez signed an 8.5-year contract with Chelsea
Shows
in
the Caicedo,
2023.
Yeah,
He
and I wouldn't be
he is
surprised if Matthews was around the same length.
he is scheduled to go. His contract ends in 2032. He's still got 6 years left on his contract, and this guy is talking. I know people were like, "Oh, it was harsh what Chelsea did by sitting him down." He's not even gonna. He didn't even play in this game against Chelsea today. He was suspended. Um, but like, people are saying, "Oh, it's harsh what they did and how they're treating him is harsh." And da 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 da. Dude, you have a 6-year obligation to this team. The last thing anybody wants to hear you talk about is your love romance with Spanish teams. I don't care who and what and where you are in your career. You cannot do that. Maybe Nolante doesn't agree. I'm just joking. I think he's probably having problems with his internet. But there you go. There's all right. I didn't know if you didn't agree, if that was the reason why you clocked out. But I think the 6 years, you got 6 years left on your deal, man. Do not talk about Real Madrid. Plain and simple. You could want Real Madrid all you want. That's got to be an internal conversation. And that is the extent of it. Don't talk about it in the locker room. Don't talk about it on the training pitch. Don't even talk about it when you're out chilling with your mates. 6 years left on his contract. That is wild. That's just the same thing with it's like let me pull up Carson Palmer. Carson Palmer, he signed until 2033. 2000. Notice I didn't say there's no 20.
When you
We're
compare
into this is
the club,
2000. This is 2026, by the way, people. And I'm talking about the next decade, not this decade. The next decade is when their contracts expire. And you're hearing these players talk and say things and say this and say that. And I'm like, you signed those deals, man. If you wanted to like have some flexibility and some, with the direction of where you go in the next stage of your career, you don't sign that kind of deal. But if you want financial security, if you want to know that you'll have a contract that's going to be able to provide for you for whether you can play or you can't play for the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years or 10 years or whatever they're signing nowadays, or whatever they were signing, then it's a good deal. It's a fantastic deal for you. But that's just wild that you see these Chelsea players talking, openly talking about other teams and acting as if they don't have obligations to this club or to their club for multiple years. Not some, oh, I could be a free agent next year, or I'll be a free agent in the summer. I'm coming up on the last year of my deal, so let me start talking about places I'd like to go.
João Pedro's contracted to like 2038 or something silly.
João Pedro, is it?
Younger one. He probably signed like a 5 or 6 year one easily, didn't he? If they're giving those 8 year ones like to the likes of Fernandez.
No, wait, don't get it twisted. João Pedro signed an 8-year deal. He signed an 8-year deal himself.
Yeah.
He's on till.
You like João Pedro, like
2000. Yeah. He signed till 2033.
Yeah, we'll see the next if he's there in the next 4 years. If he continues the way he's playing, then yeah, he won't be there.
He won't be there, but I'm just saying. I mean, yeah, but then those players have to recognize that they're going to have to take they're going to have to take an L. They're going to have to take an L in their next contract negotiation because they're not getting a contract that is better than the one that they're currently on. They're just not. They saw the chance to cash in now, and they did. And now, unfortunately for them, they're going to have to reap what they sown by signing a deal like that if they're looking to go on to another team that isn't blue, or at least isn't their Chelsea blue. Red Archer supporter taking off definitely. I know it's late. We're out at the midnight hour. I know some of us are going to be doing their Cinderellas and possibly having to get home before the what is it? It turns it back into a pumpkin, right?
Yeah. Golden carriage pumpkin.
Right. Look, Tottenham in crisis. Real quick, percentage you think Tottenham are relegated? From obviously 60-30, 70-20, or 70-30, 60-40.
Oh, they look about 75-25 to me to go down at the moment at 100%. And like it's fading with every passing week. Their chances, they don't get the shit together and pull out a result, and I mean a win, not a bloody draw. A result sooner rather than later. Then it's bye Spurs for the first time in I don't know how long, probably pre-war or something.
Wow. Nolante, what are your odds on them getting out?
Oh, Spurs. I think I want them to get relegated because the players they'll have available. Yes, we can do some bargain sales.
I know you heard that. Let me show you why I'm saying that. I think that's the reason why some people are confused as to why I'm saying Busty LaRue. Hold on, let me show you why. So there's Busty LaRue, by the way. Just so you know.
Is that your new alias, Lee? Are you doing the Lily Savage?
Yeah.
Probably both trainees on there. You could see them more than close up. Yeah. He meant nothing. That was before even the data were like cut out. But I was only 8, so I'll get a pass though, right, for them trainees.
Just so people can understand why I was saying that earlier. But yeah. Good old Busty LaRue said Spurs get relegated. Bring us a little Richarlison to Liverpool. I don't know if you heard that one or not. I think it's got Delonte speechless.
I mean, it's all right. I told a couple of weeks ago, Lee, since you were on your alias, I told the chat about, obviously, me and Tor, sadly, the breakup of you and Tracy. She's gone to pastures through Sylvia, Lee, and obviously You have AK Busty.
Busty Kroupi. I don't even know where to go with.
I told
I
you
don't even
weeks
know where to.
ago. You've been threatening to run off with this Greek shipping magnate. And, the old standard there, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there you have it.
Tracy Onassis.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I agree though. There are some players, Van der Ven, maybe Archie Gray, Kuliszewski would be a decent player to possibly bring in as a squad player. Um, Romero, maybe. I don't know if people are into him or not. I know some people don't think he's that good, and or but certainly there are some players that are viable players on that team that could be
It
there.
is nice to buy from the Premier League if you can get bargains, but you get your feet out of the coals quite a lot, don't you? Price wise, you know, and there are sometimes better options abroad for your money. It just depends what sort of money we've got this summer and what we can raise. I mean, I hope you can find somewhere for Harvey so we can have the dosh from him. And like not one of them would try him and buy him, just give us the money. Um, you know, no offense to Harvey, by the way. It's just like don't see a future for him, you know.
Yeah,
Whatever.
Basuma as well plays there too. He's a good player, but he has had a massive fall off.
Yeah, I quite like him
Yeah, he's
too.
still there. He played.
But I'm not sure about him for us.
Nah, we're past him, Lee. We don't need him. He's just not the same. We're past him. That ship has sailed a long time.
Here's the reality: Liverpool are still standing. I am calling out for a third place finish for this club. I'm saying that should be, could be, and needs to be our goal for this season. I know there's no trophy associated to a third place finish, but still, it is something that we should be capable of achieving. And it would also mean that most likely Manchester United doesn't finish higher in the standings than us. So that would be a little bit breathable moment to appreciate. Heck, I wouldn't even mind seeing Manchester United fall out of the top five. That'd be even better. But all the same, we hold our form. If we stay disciplined, maybe that could be achievable. If we do that, we could go into. Obviously, we have one more fixture. We have Everton before we go to Old Toilet or Old Trafford, whichever you call it, and take care of Manchester United. Hopefully, I heard Cass, by the way, giving out a direct line of a quote saying that Manchester United will beat us 3-0, at least by 3 goals. So we will lose 3-0 at Old Toilet to Manchester United, according to Cass. So he's looking to give us a little bit of beat down. I'm hoping we can take care of business, but I know it's one game at a time. I get that. So, first things first, we got to take care of PSG, and then we'll have to go and take care of our crosstown rivals in Everton. So, big games ahead of us. Before we bounce and before I give them a moment of red zen, anything on your mind, Delante, that you wanted to bring up or talk about?
Not really. Yeah, not really. To be honest, we've got the wins. Been a good weekend for all of us. In terms of results and stuff like that. But great. But let the yeah. But let's see these players now. It's up to date. It's the biggest game of the season, and just play with some pride at least. Play for a team to win, like just attack away. Even if we do lose on aggregate, whatever, just play to win. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's one game, it's good, but they've got a lot to do. And Slot, my question is, Slot, is he going to be bold? Is he going to be bold or just play the safe hands? So
I think
we'll
it's safe
see.
hands.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I will be doing my own review after this anyway. It's late, but I'll just get it over and done with, as I won't anyway on the weekend. So yeah, but yeah,
Okay.
that's about it.
Okay.
Let's pick up
Okay.
everyone in the chat that's watching, like, share, and subscribe, and yeah, cool.
Cool. Cool. Yes. Lee, do you have anything you want to say or anything you want to talk about?
No, just thanks for everyone who's been in the chat. It's been alright tonight, it's not been too painful. We've had a laugh and that a bit, like, haven't we? And I
Mm.
hope we can keep smiling after it. Because, even, like I said before, even if we go out against Paris, if we go out fighting, swinging, and, have a good go at it, then that should get, rather than us going into the Everton game, we've been knocked out of Europe, go into it, with a bit of pride that we put up a fight, rather than going out, really, lamely. I know it's a tall order against this side, but hopefully that's what we can do, and then get some sort of result at Everton.
Well, I'll tell you what some type of result we can get is maybe some type of result at Anfield against PSG. It'd be fantastic to shock the world because I know a lot of people don't have us having an absolute remote chance in that game. But hey, we'll get you a preview tomorrow. We wish you all a great evening and an even better tomorrow. And like I said, we'll be back for the PSG preview tomorrow, and then we'll do a roll call on Tuesday and the likes. But until then, up the Reds each and every time. And now, let me give you your moment of Red Zen. Oh, sure, I can get this to be. Oh, you can see it already. All right, people, we
Gotta be
will let you go.
Arteta, hasn't it? There's got to be many Arteta there.
Chasing shadow chasing you. Can't can't shake your shadow, and that is what it is. So until tomorrow, definitely take care, and we will see you for the preview tomorrow. Take care, guys.